Husband, 36 male, is asking me, 35 female, to abort an unplanned pregnancy. He tells me I don't care about him if I don't go through with it. I don't know how to make this choice. We have a 3-year-old son together, and while our relationship definitely took a dip in the first 1 to 2 years, it's gone from strength to strength in the last year, and we have been happy. I have always wanted a second child. My husband has historically been a firm no, but has been coming around to it of late. Fast forward, and we've gotten pregnant by accident. I want to keep the baby, and am deeply uncomfortable getting the abortion. He tells me it is a physical impossibility that he can have a second child. When I found out, I told him I would find a way to come around to an abortion if he told me there was no way he could do it. He then went on a planned trip away for a month, and we didn't really discuss it. I reflected a lot and decided that if I could understand his why, then I would be able to get on board with the abortion, and rather than putting his needs above mine, I would be prioritizing us. But he either can't or won't deconstruct it with me. He says it's just the way it is, and it's just impossible for him to have another one. When I ask him if it is about freedom, sleepless nights, relationship concerns, he tells me it is nothing that can be deconstructed or mitigated. He just simply can't do it. He has gone on to say he can't be involved in its life. He won't interact with it. It is just goop, and I'm picking a cluster of cells over him. I'm at such a loss because he has told me he will leave me if I don't have the abortion. But I feel uncomfortable having it. I want this baby. I also feel like I tend to put his needs before mine always, and this feels like he is also prioritizing his needs over mine. I'm cognizant that if we both look out for him, who looks out for me? The fact that he is telling me it means I don't care about him, and that I am ruining his life, my life, and our future, is also adding to how hard this is, and it obviously hurts. I guess I want some perspective. He is saying it will break him. Do I just take that statement at face value and go through with the abortion because I am very resilient? Having the abortion won't break me. I will find a way to not resent him, so I could have it, and most likely find a way to be fine, whereas he is saying he won't be fine. But doing that for him when it feels like he hasn't shown me the same grace feels so violating somehow. I am also trying to decide what honors my son best, what is best for him. Edit, you update. When I refer to my husband saying it's a physical impossibility, he means in reference to raising the kid, not creating it in the first place. I don't quite think he got a vasectomy. That's not his style to do that in secret. He just means he feels as though is completely incapable of being involved. He says he won't interact with the child ever, or effectively acknowledge its existence. I think he's just using such strong language because I have mentioned that it sounds like he is making an emotional decision, or that his no could be deconstructed and talked about. For example, if he was worried about losing freedom, we could put a plan in place to quell his fears. Single mom. I have a good job, not like super high paying, but I definitely make enough that I can manage this alone. Plus I have a handful of amazing friends and some family that would step up. I also plan to consult the people I would lean on first if I do go through with this, because it's not a negligible ask for them either. I am acutely aware that I will most likely be a single mom of 2, and while it would be fucked enough to explain to child number 2 why daddy only wants to pick up child number 1, I am very confident in my abilities to raise happy, healthy, functional children. Story 3, caught my partner cheating, but their excuse was unbelievable. I never thought I'd be the guy writing about infidelity. You read these stories online, shake your head and think, that would never happen to me. But here I am. I'm 28 male, and I was with my girlfriend, 26 female, for 5 years. 5 years of memories, shared goals, inside jokes, what I thought was a solid relationship built on trust. We weren't perfect, but who is? I believed in us. Until I had no choice but to face the truth. The signs I ignored. It started small. Little things I brushed off. She used to leave her phone lying around, never cared if I saw her messages. But suddenly, it was always face down, or she'd angle the screen away from me when texting. I told myself it was nothing. Everyone deserves privacy, right? Then there were the late nights. Work ran over, she'd say, or I lost track of time with friends. The first few times, I believed her. But it started happening too often. I'd wake up at midnight and she still wouldn't be home. I'd text, and she'd reply hours later with some vague excuse. My gut was screaming at me, but I ignored it. I trusted her, until I couldn't anymore. The moment everything shattered, last week, she told me she was going to a friend's house. Girls' night, no big deal. But when she still wasn't home at 2 a.m., something inside me snapped. I had to know. The next morning, she was acting totally normal, like nothing happened. As she jumped in the shower, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. I'm not proud of what I did next, but I opened it. And just like that, 5 years unraveled before my eyes. A text from Tom. Last night was amazing. Can't stop thinking about you. My heart sank. I kept scrolling. Flirty messages, heart emojis, plans to meet up. Jokes about keeping their little secret. I felt like the floor had been ripped out from under me. My stomach twisted into knots. I wanted it to be a misunderstanding, but the messages were clear. This wasn't just emotional cheating. She had been with him. She came out of the shower, towel wrapped around her, hair dripping. I was shaking. "Who's Tom?" I asked, holding up her phone. The color drained from her face. I saw the panic, the gears turning as she tried to think of an excuse. And then she hit me with this. "It's not what it looks like. I'm helping him practice flirting because he's bad at talking to women." I waited for her to laugh, to say she was joking. She didn't. I almost laughed myself, but not out of humor, out of pure disbelief. "Are you serious?" I asked. She nodded. "Dead serious. He's been struggling with women, so I've been coaching him. We were just acting out scenarios." I couldn't even respond at first. I just stared at her, my mind spinning. "And the last night was amazing" text? She barely missed a beat. That was just role-playing. He needed to build confidence. I felt my blood pressure spike. "So you're telling me you stayed out until 2 a.m. doing flirting practice?" She crossed her arms, like she was the one getting interrogated unfairly. "You never compliment me like that. I was just helping him and feeling good about myself at the same time." That was it. That was the moment something inside me snapped. The breakup that had to happen. I told her to pack a bag and leave. She switched tactics immediately, went from defensive to pleading. "It's not what you think, please just listen." But I had listened. And I couldn't unsee those messages. I couldn't unhear her ridiculous excuse. I couldn't believe that the person I loved for 5 years could look me in the eye and lie like that. She left, slamming the door, but part of me felt empty. Like I had just erased 5 years of my life in one morning. The aftermath. Now, I'm sitting here, trying to make sense of it all. How do you move on from someone you thought you'd spend forever with? How do you deal with the fact that the person you trusted most betrayed you, and then fed you an excuse so absurd it almost felt like an insult? Part of me misses her, but another part knows I never really knew her at all. So yeah, that's my story. Any advice on how to move forward? And has anyone ever heard an excuse this ridiculous before? My girlfriend confessed to cheating on me, so I lied and told her I cheated on her. It was one of those nights where everything felt like it was about to crack wide open. My girlfriend, let's call her Sarah, had been acting off for weeks, staying out late, being super distant, and every time I brought it up, she'd brush it off. I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. Deep down, I knew it wasn't just a hunch anymore, but I never imagined the truth would come crashing in like this. Last night, as I was sitting there, feeling like I was walking on eggshells, she finally broke the silence. "I have to tell you something," she said, voice shaking. I knew what was coming, but hearing it still felt like a punch to the gut. She admitted she cheated. Not only did she cheat, but she also confessed it happened more than once, and that she was sorry. She tried to explain it away by saying it was a mistake, that it happened when she was drunk, as if that made it any less real. At first, I didn't know what to say. I was hurt, angry, and betrayed. But then, in a moment of sheer frustration, and probably a bit of pride, I turned the tables. "Well, if we're being honest," I said, looking straight at her, "I've been cheating on you the whole time we've been together, sleeping with another woman consistently." That was the moment the world stopped for a second. I could see the disbelief flash across her face. I'd thrown a grenade into the situation, but I wasn't expecting the explosion. She went ballistic. Her face turned red, her hands started shaking, and she demanded to know who she was. "Who is she?" she screamed, as though finding the other woman would somehow make everything make sense. I could see she was losing her mind, spiraling into this wild mix of anger and guilt, as if my lie was the true betrayal. But it wasn't. The truth was, I never cheated on her. I wasn't that person. But in that moment, it felt like the only way to make her feel what I was feeling. A little bit of panic, confusion, and maybe some of the hurt she had caused me. And then she said it. I was drunk. It only happened once. It doesn't count like that. What do you even say to that? The sheer audacity of trying to minimize it because she was inebriated? My head was spinning, and I couldn't take it anymore. "You cheated. I don't care about the details. I'm done," I told her, voice steady but my heart pounding. Without saying another word, I packed her stuff, threw her out of my place, and slammed the door behind her. It was over. Then, I did what anyone would do after a breakup, right? I called up my boys. BBQ at mine, guys. Honestly, what better way to shift gears than by grilling some steaks, cracking a few beers, and letting the adrenaline wear off? As I looked at the guys cracking jokes, making fun of the whole situation, I couldn't help but laugh. The way she completely lost her mind at the idea of me cheating, even though it was a lie, was almost ridiculous. It was like the ultimate plot twist. And boy, was it a show. If only she knew the truth, but at that point, it didn't matter. It wasn't the craziest breakup story out there, but it was one I won't forget anytime soon. If nothing else, I'll always remember that night as the one where things went from zero to insane in a matter of seconds. And then a BBQ became the perfect therapy session. Story 2. I 30. Male, my girlfriend 30 female did S work because I didn't talk enough. I'm 30 male, mostly introverted. I'm not loud, but I think I can express my feelings and talk about personal stuff. My girlfriend is a photo model. At the beginning, we set some ground rules. Nothing sexual, no touching, etc. For some time, she did follow these rules. But a few weeks later, I found out she was lying to me for the last 6 months. We had some issues. I wasn't the best boyfriend, but I was trying to be. We talked about it many times. I supported her career as much as I could. I've never tried to unlock her phone. I've never doubted her. But she was secretly doing cheap, disgusting porn. When I found out, she told me she did it because she didn't feel appreciated. She didn't feel I care. I couldn't believe it, so naturally I dumped her. She came back and told me she did it because of psychological pressure and cocaine. She excused it by saying, "I was so high I didn't know what I was doing." I believed her. Now, 2 months later, I feel devastated, exhausted, and generally sad. She doesn't act like she's aware of what she did to me. I told her it's the worst thing ever, that I'm drowning. But every time I express myself, she immediately goes to attack. It's like, "I'm sorry, but you hurt me. In the worst possible way, I'm devastated." And her reply? "Well, you didn't talk to me enough. I didn't feel your love." No remorse, nothing. I finally ended things, but now I feel like I'm the villain in this story. She lied to my face many times. She kept changing the story over and over again. Where do you think psychological abuse starts? Could you ever forgive her? I can't talk about this with my friends because I don't want to make her look bad. I'm stupid like that. Update. You are all right. I didn't respect myself when I invited her back to my life. I just told her to pack her stuff and go. I blocked her everywhere. I didn't expect so many responses. You're all very supportive. Thank you for that. And no, she doesn't have PORN name. She did it secretly with 2 photographers. She sent some videos, solo plays, to her OF followers. Yes, I knew she had an OF. We agreed she would post Instagram photos, but without the censorship and some backstage videos, showing the urbex she's working in, preparing the photo scenes, etc. Why? Because I trusted her. I guess I consciously decided to ignore the red flags. Thank you again. You've helped a